According to Shams Charania, Damian Lillard is on the verge of finalizing a 3-year, $42 million deal that will bring him back to the Portland Trailblazers. This will be a reunion for Damian Lillard, and it will be official that Dame time is back in Portland. Now, how do I feel about this signing? Well, I'll say first off, Damian Lillard is definitely not going to play next season. I believe he tore his Achilles tendon during the playoffs in the first round, if I'm not mistaken. So you can pretty much count him out for all of next year. He won't be back. And by the time he comes back, he will not be the same player again. I just don't see how he'll come back to return to form of what he once was. You actually look at last season, he wasn't bad, I would say, overall. 44.8% from the field, 37 from three, 24.9 points per game. That was an improvement from his prior season with the Bucks. So it felt that he had returned to his typical form, and it was only taken away once he tore his Achilles tendon. You got to also look at his age. He just turned 35 about just 2 days ago. That's how recent he turned 35. So he's a fresh 35, and he's going to miss all of next year. By the time he comes back, he'll be 36 years old. That is pretty much over the hill in the NBA. Once you get beyond 35, I would say officially your prime is over. And his prime is definitely over with his Achilles tendon being torn. You're never the same again once you tear it in your 30s like he did. I just don't see how he's going to bounce back from that injury. He's definitely not going to be a star. I think Portland probably knows this, and they're not expecting him to be the Damian Lillard of the old. I think they're going to probably try to use him more as like a veteran, and they're hoping he can be like a Chris Paul type of mentor for their young players, specifically Scoot. That's who I can see Damian Lillard mentoring. Scoot Henderson. I think he's been rough around the edges. If you look at his game the last few years, he hasn't put up great numbers. He's a very inefficient player. Last season, he shot 41% from the field, 35 from three, 12.7 points per game. I think Dame could probably help him in guiding him on how to get easier buckets. Scoot is a super athlete, but from what I've heard from Portland fans, that he still hasn't figured out how to play angles, that he's been obsessed with relying heavily on his super athletic ability to get him easy buckets instead of being a fundamentally sound player. Dame was never super athletic. He had a good deal of athleticism, but he was never a super athlete in my eyes. But he's always been a very crafty player. And I'm sure Portland is hoping that Damian can mentor Scoot in just making his game easier, teaching him tricks and tips on how to get easier opportunities, how to get guys involved in the offense. That's what they're looking for from Damian Lillard. That's what I'm assuming Portland is with this signing. They also want to have the special ending where it can be like a Disney-like send-off for Damian Lillard, that he gets to go off in Portland in the sunset as a Blazer, retired. I think that was a huge part of it, and the fans need something to be happy about because the Blazers are a terrible team. They're in rebuild mode, so this could help the fans the next few years deal with it, knowing that one of the greatest Blazers of all time is going to take part in this rebuild as a mentor. I would say mainly to Scoop, but to the rest of the team, they need veteran guidance. And I think Dame will be great in this role. I think he's also humble, I would say, in the sense that he knows that he's not going to be the great player he once was. And I believe he's willing to accept that and willing to help the younger guys reach their potential. Plus, there's Chauncey Billups, who's a veteran point guard who's their head coach now. And I just think he'll be able to have that relationship with Chauncey. The respect level will be there. So I kind of just view it like kind of like a partnership that him and Chauncey and the Blazers will have in rebuilding this team and helping the youth movement. So I think both sides win on this because no one's expecting Portland to make the playoffs in the next few years. While Damian can just go home back to Portland happy, end it on his own terms. And and obviously this is an acknowledgement that leaving Portland was a failed experiment for him. It didn't work out. He tried to get that elusive championship, but it just wasn't in the cards. So him coming back is him just conceding that it just didn't work out. It was a mistake, and now he just wants to finish his career there. So I'm actually cool with it with this move on both sides. I think it's helpful for both sides mentally, and you hope for the best actually for both. So that's the way I feel. That it'll be interesting if Dame can reinvent himself like Chris Paul did as a mentor to young guys. So this will be very, very interesting to see how he works out with his team. And that's all I have to say.